places, and the rest of us have been traveling a lot, and we see a lot of farmers being very discouraged by a lot of different factors. So the handling of those factors have to be site-specific. So we wouldn't be able to come up with a countrywide priority for that, but that could be like Alisa, animal farmer-herder conflict around animals, climate mitigation, and lack of involvement and language barriers. I myself work in a village where we have 98% illiteracy until a few years ago when we built the school. So, I mean, there are still communities here that have nothing and that are not looped into the system at all. So the discouragement, it depends on the site. Then number two, one of the things that came through a lot of these mentions on the paperwork were the consultants. But they don't know anything about agroforestry. I've not met everyone in the country, none of us have, but those I've met personally didn't know anything about trees. You have a problem, and they come and say, you have a problem that for me, as a nutritionist, is clearly a deficiency sign in cocoa or cashew or whatever, and they say, oh, it's a fungus sprayed with this chemical. No. So we need to, if we are serious about agroforestry, we need to put agroforestry education into all curriculum, all over the whole country, and educate the future consultants going out, no matter where they are. So the extension officers, they really have to know the drill about agroforestry, so we need to educate them, train them, and capacity build everywhere. And number three, we put as engagement across sectors. And again, starting in the schools, every school that has a little land should have a school garden. And it does not have to be cabbage. I mean, vegetables are really difficult to do in Ghana, so you could do a lot of different trees and combined and rotational stuff. There's a lot of ways to do it. Youth, and for the youth and the women, we have the land issues especially. They don't want to put investment in until they're sure that nobody comes and burn the land. And that is severe. I know people who have burned 80 acres mature maize and 300 acres trees. It's not funny at all. The women groups, some are extremely organized. The one group I work with personally in Jirapa and Upper West are extremely well organized. I'm deeply impressed every time I deal with them. Churches and also vocational training centers, schools, that type, all of them should plant some trees and learn to take care of trees. My personal experience is that the northern sector respect trees way more than the forest belt. The forest people here in the forest belt where I live seem to take them for granted. So they don't really understand that they have to take care of them. They have to prune, they have to weed, they have to put some manure, they have to fertilize if there are problems. They don't really do that. So there is a lot of education on the engagement and commitment area. Then planting material is a huge problem in Ghana. I'm lucky, I am near the Bunzu government nursery, and they have a huge selection of all sorts of seedlings at a very reasonable price. So we bring people in, they buy seedlings, take them home, and the quality is good. So we need more nurseries, way more nurseries that can also deal with some of the soil fertility problems like composting, become teaching centers, demonstration sites. We have a lot of network in the country where people actually have farms that work with agroforestry and are willing to become demonstration sites. So we don't need to start from scratch. It's possible to do contracts, 5-year contracts. Domenio, you have to do 5 years and you have to teach so many people from your local area. And George, you can do the same. I can do the same. There are lots of people. We can make a list. So nurseries and demonstration sites, and that part also we need to integrate more of the indigenous with the modern agroforestry. Like we can use principles from modern planting in plantations in agroforestry, so it's way easier to prune and weed and so on. So do the lines, but still mix the trees. Then there is all the land issue, the land tenure, and that is kind of more government-like policy, the money and the agreements. Something should be done, because I see a lot of weird agreements around, and that's just my little area. And the trees can be done on GPS mapping. One of the things that I didn't mention before was that I take care of seedling donations to people, and we have to GPS map them in an international database. So the donors know that the trees are still there. So they can document that they have donated these trees and the money went the right place and there is no corruption anywhere. And that's quite easy apart from the network. Then point six here is the technical support and the funding for technical support. And that could be when we look at these bank things, that if you have a group of youth, they could be trained in using the little machines like the weeders, the earth augers for drilling 100 holes per day instead of 10 per person. There's a lot of little equipment. It is not so expensive. That would be a really good funding that some of the banks could come up with. Like we take a group of 5 youth, we train them, they get the money for doing these 5 machines and they start to work in the community. So we have, instead of paying 600 cedis for weeding 1 acre from the walking weeders from Togo, you can pay 200 and get it done by machine in 1 day. It's faster, it's cheaper, it's better for everyone. It creates business, it creates a more secure payback for the banks. I can only see a win-win in that one. And yeah, so that was it. Number 7, crop diversification. And since we come from permaculture, we say we need first food security trees for every farmer. Then we need health security trees. That's some of the medicinal, like and fruits, like you can do guava, soursop, citrus. All these trees, if you make tea from the leaves, you have better health. It is hard. It's hardcore documented all over the world that if we drink teas from all these different fruit trees that we have in abundance in Ghana, we are healthier. We prevent heart disease and cancer and kidney disease and all sorts of stuff. And then we can put the cash crops in. And we have to look at also some of the indigenous ways with soil improvement, mulching, and rotational principles. Then number 8, we put up climate mitigation and carbon dioxide capture. They are more or less 2 of the same things. Soil organic matter built up by doing that correctly. And that would require like site-specific evaluations and planning and plantings. And then the whole system need a policy for the carbon capture market so we could bring more money into the small-scale farmers for improving the quality and the fertility of the soil. It's doing like manure and compost like I do. The cost is a third compared to fertilizers in bags. If we count only on NPK values, it costs a third. But it's heavy work to bring it out. It costs a third. It brings a whole lot of other nutrients. It's way, way, way cheaper, but it requires organization. It requires that you partner up with the chicken farms, that you take all the goats and the cattle and put them in paddocks at night and collect the manure and all that. It can be done. It's not rocket science. And for carbon dioxide capture, we have to look at some of the like faster growing trees like moringa. That one can grow in almost all the ecozones here. And it can act both as a carbon capture tree, as a food enhancement tree for the family and the health, and as a biostimulant production on farm. It costs nothing to work with it. If we educate people, it costs nothing to help all the other crops they want to grow if you do little biostimulants from some of these native trees. We know it, the research is there. And then our point 9 was regeneration in general. The general soil fertility, we need to improve that. And then of course we have the depleted sites, the galamsey and the sand winning sites. They need a whole lot of work. And that is of course site specific. And if we are dealing with heavy metals in the soil, also a lot of the vegetable growers in Greater Accra, there are high heavy metal levels in the soil. We know how to mitigate it. We can mitigate that with moringa, with cannabis, with hemp, and if we have water bodies with azolla and duckweed. All the knowledge is there, we just have to get going. And then of course general soil fertility. There is the one thing is strange. I also have worked in Uganda. Uganda have way better soil in general. They have volcanic soil, so trace elements and so on is much better. They all do composting, all. Composting everywhere. They have better soil and they compost, they improve the soil ongoing. The tradition is not here in Ghana. I don't know why, but it's a marked difference. And then point 10 is the promotion of underutilized species. We have large bodies of academic work on underutilized species of trees and scrubs and fruits and so on from all over Africa. And a lot of it is done actually here in West Africa. And those ones they're climate resilient, they're robust. Cameroon is doing a lot on that. And we need to put this into the nurseries, we put up in point 4, so the local communities we can start to pool the knowledge from the older generation. I am lucky that I have worked with quite a few older farmers, and they have a wealth of knowledge. It is very site specific. So they cannot teach people all over the country, but they can teach their site. And if we do not value and capture that, knowledge is lost. One generation, the practice is lost. So it's high time. Yes? So that was the work from this table. Thank you.